The next book is Lord Edgeware Dies. Hi, welcome to Fictional Narrative. I'm Neri. Today I'm going to be wrapping up my month of April. Originally I wasn't going to put out my March wrap up because it had been so late, but I'm on my own timetable, and since I'm going through the Hercule Poirot series, I figured that I should. Since I spent most of this month studying, I relied heavily on audiobooks. So April is the month of audiobooks. I got through 10 books and I was able to bump up my yearly goal of reading 35 books to reading 50. Now let's get into the books that I've read, starting with the Hercule Poirot series, because that's the bulk of it. So first is Dumb Witness, which I rated a 4 out of 5. Hercule Poirot receives a letter from a woman who is suspicious that her family members are trying to murder her. Unfortunately, he gets to her estate too late to save her. I thought this novel had a really good setup and a really good cast of characters. The next one is Lord Edgeware Dies. I rated this one a 5 out of 5. In this one, an actress named Jane approaches Hercule Poirot, asking him to convince her husband to give her a divorce. And her husband agrees. And then he ends up dead. She becomes suspect number 1, and Hercule is trying to figure out the mystery behind it. Honestly, the villain in this one is an absolute mastermind. I love the cast of characters in this one, and I thought the character of Jane was actually very well written, and the way that this mystery is crafted, it was really sneaky. Like, the villain really almost got away with it, which was fun. It was actually really fun. So Murder in the Mews is a series of short stories, and I rated this one a 5 out of 5. My particular favorites were Dead Man's Mirror and The Triangle at Rhodes. The next one is a novel called Cards on the Table. In this one, we're actually introduced to other characters that Agatha Christie has written. However, it focuses on the investigations of Poirot and a mystery writer named Ariadne Oliver, who is a spectacular character. In the plot, a man named Mr. Shaitana invites Hercule Poirot to a party, claiming that he collects murderers. So when Hercule goes to this party, he finds out he is part of a small group of people who are experts or investigators, and the other group, which are seemingly regular people who may or may not be murderers. Before the party ends, Mr. Shaitana is found dead, which is surprising. You didn't think this would happen if you collected murderers, right? I rated this book a 5 out of 5 because everything after Mr. Shaitana dies just implodes. It's just plot twist, plot twist, plot twist. It was so much fun. Like, one of the funnest books out of the whole series. Appointment with Death was a 3 out of 5 for me. I thought this one dragged on quite a bit. Essentially, Hercule has 24 hours to solve a mystery involving a dead woman with puncture mark. In this one, he gets called out for his acceptance of the official conclusion in the Orient Express, which is juicy, but is also as juicy as it gets. Poirot Investigates is also a series of short stories. I rated this one a 4 out of 5. My favorite was The Case of the Missing Will, not because it was a high stakes kind of mystery or there was danger, but it was very clever and very mundane, and overall just like a nice simple mystery to read. The A.B.C murders was a 4 out of 5 for me. In this one, Poirot receives a letter that's kind of menacing, hinting towards possible doom or murder, and everybody tells him, including Hastings, that it's not a big deal. I mean, these letters happen all the time. Until a serial killer begins to murder people alphabetically and also based off of the ABC railway stops. This murder has got a lot of elements going on, but he was well thought out. There were definitely elements to this one that are like closer to modern mysteries and stories of serial killers. I kind of thought that the romance at the end was a little unnecessary, but to be honest, the mourning period in these books that I've been reading are pretty short. 3-act tragedy was a 4 out of 5 for me. Poirot Investigates a Murder of a man, and as it turns out, a similar death that he was present for and was ruled natural turns out to also be a murder. And the murder was right under Hercule's nose the whole time. The villain was really smart, but the reason for him committing the crimes were really scummy, and the way he went about it, just the audacity. I don't know why I'm surprised, because, he's gonna do scummy things. He's a villain, but I didn't guess that he was a villain, so there was a certain time where I was rooting for him. The Regatta Mysteries and Other Stories is also a series of stories. I rated this a 3 out of 5. There was a story from the Parker Pine series, a story from the Miss Marple series, one that didn't fall under any particular investigator. Poirot had a few stories. My favorite was The Yellow Iris. That is a twisted story. It definitely has modern elements that we see today. In The Yellow Iris, Hercule is called to a dinner by an anonymous person. Come to find that he has to solve a mystery in which a murder occurred at that exact table years ago. The final book that I read for this month was Anna Kay, A Love Story by Jenny Lee. I rated this one a 1 out of 5, and I have a whole video on it, which I was back and forth about even putting out. But I thought that the information that I was giving was important, and hopefully it helps people, because we should be able to make informed decisions on what content we consume. So those are the 10 books for April. I read 13 books in March, mostly audiobooks. I've been zooming through audiobooks. I wonder what May's gonna end up being like. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Bye! The next one is Lorge. I did it again.